The Second Age had begun. Those words echoed to the archive as a massive ancient door opened for the first time in millions of years. Nobody knew what was waiting beyond that door, but everyone felt the same thing. Something had changed. The moment humanity stepped inside the archive, they were no longer searching for answers. They were now part of something much bigger than they ever imagined. Captain Ethan Cole stood in front of the opening doorway, looking into the darkness beyond it. The air coming from inside was cold and ancient, carrying a strange energy that none of their technology could explain. Behind him stood humans, Sentinels, and the unknown origin being. For the first time in history, enemies were standing together, waiting for the same unknown future. Ethan looked at the origin. What is behind that door? The ancient being remained silent for a moment. Then it answered, "The truth you've been searching for." Ethan looked confused. "And why does it feel like we should be afraid of finding it?" The origin looked toward the darkness. "Because some truths cannot be forgotten once they are known." The door continued opening. Deep inside, a path appeared. Unlike the previous sections of the archive, this place was different. There were no symbols, no messages, no recordings, only a long, empty corridor stretching into darkness. Alaron studied the corridor carefully. This place is not part of the archive. Everyone looked at him. Dr. Mitchell asked, "What do you mean?" The Sentinel answered quietly, "The archive was created to protect this place." The word shocked everyone. The archive was not the final destination. It was only a gateway. Ethan looked back at the ancient structure around them. Everything they had discovered was only the beginning. The dragons, the architects, the lost civilizations, the hidden history of humanity. All of it was connected to something deeper. Suddenly, the energy sphere behind them activated again. A new message appeared. The first guardian has returned. Everyone looked at Ethan. He felt a strange pressure inside his mind. Memories that were not his own started appearing again. A battlefield from millions of years ago. A human standing beside the origin. A promise being made. A promise to protect something. A promise that was never completed. Ethan held his head as the memories became stronger. He saw the first humans who entered the archive. He saw them fight against an enemy that was never mentioned in any history. He saw their final moment. And then he saw himself. Not as Ethan Cole. As someone who had lived before. Someone who had failed. The vision suddenly ended. Ethan opened his eyes. Everyone was looking at him. Dr. Mitchell stepped closer. "What did you see?" Ethan looked at the darkness ahead. The reason humanity was chosen. Nobody spoke. Then Ethan continued. "We were never meant to find the archive. We were meant to finish what was started." The origin watched him carefully, because Ethan had finally understood. Humanity was not the discovery. Humanity was the unfinished mission. Outside the archive, the situation was becoming more dangerous. The Dragon Empire remained above Earth. The Sentinel fleets surrounded the planet. But something unexpected was happening. The dragons were changing. For the first time, they were not preparing to attack. They were waiting. Varkin stood on his command ship, watching the archive energy spreading across the planet. A warrior entered the chamber. "Commander, the archive has accepted the human." Varkin remained silent. Then he asked, "What happens now?" The warrior hesitated. "Nobody knows." For the first time, the Dragon Empire had no plan, no strategy, no control, and that frightened them more than any enemy. Kaeldar looked toward Earth. He remembered the ancient stories, the stories that were considered myths, the stories about the first guardian. And now he realized the truth. The legends were not about a species. They were about a choice. Inside the archive, Ethan and the team moved deeper into the unknown corridor. The further they went, the quieter everything became. No machines, no sounds, no signs of life. Then suddenly, they reached the end. A massive room appeared. At the center was a single object, a throne, but it was not built for a king. It was built for a guardian. The origin stopped. For the first time, the ancient being showed uncertainty. Ethan noticed, "You know this place." The origin looked at the throne. "I have seen it only once." "When?" The answer came slowly. "Before the architects existed. Everyone froze. Before the architects. That meant this place was older than the greatest civilization in the galaxy. The room activated. The throne began glowing, and a final message appeared. The Guardian must awaken. Ethan looked around. What does that mean? The archive answered. The Guardian is not a person. The Guardian is a decision. The lights turned brighter. The room started changing. And then the biggest secret of the archive was revealed. The first Guardians were never chosen because they were powerful. They were chosen because they were willing to sacrifice power itself. Ethan stared at the message, because now he understood the real challenge. The archive was not asking if humanity could win. It was asking if humanity could let go. Then suddenly, the entire planet shook. A new signal appeared from deep space. A signal older than the architects, older than the origin. Something had detected the awakening of the Guardian, and it was coming. The final warning appeared. The first enemy has awakened, and for the first time, even the origin looked afraid. The first enemy has awakened. Those words remained inside everyone's mind. For millions of years, civilizations across the galaxy believed the greatest dangers came from outside, from unknown planets, from powerful enemies, from wars between species. But now they were learning the truth. The greatest threat had been sleeping in the darkness of history, and the awakening of the Guardian had opened the door. Captain Ethan Cole looked toward the origin. The ancient being that had shown no fear before was now standing completely still. That alone was enough to tell Ethan how serious the situation was. What is coming? Ethan asked. The origin looked toward the deep space signal appearing above the archive, the one thing the architects could never defeat. The answer created silence. Aileron stepped forward. That is impossible. The origin looked at him. You know it is not. The Sentinel lowered his eyes, because deep inside he already knew there was a reason the architects disappeared. There was a reason they created the archive. There was a reason they searched for guardians. They were not preparing for a war. They were preparing for a return. Outside Earth, the signal continued spreading. Every ship in space detected it. The Dragon Empire, the Sentinel fleets, human satellites. All systems received the same message. A message written in a language older than any civilization. The original void has returned. The dragons reacted immediately. For the first time, fear appeared among their ranks. Not because they knew what was coming, because they remembered. Ancient dragon legends spoke about a time before the Dragon Empire. A time when something moved through the universe and consumed entire worlds. A force without emotion, without goals, without mercy. The dragons called it the Void. The Sentinels had another name, the End. And now it was awake. Inside the archive, Ethan watched the ancient recordings appear around him. The first Guardians, the Architects, the lost civilizations. All of them had faced the same enemy, and all of them had failed. Dr. Mitchell looked at the images. How can something defeat entire civilizations? The origin answered, because they fought it the wrong way. Ethan looked confused. What does that mean? The origin turned toward him. They tried to destroy it. They used weapons. They used armies. They used power. The ancient being paused. And every time they used more power, the void became stronger. The message shocked everyone. The enemy did not become stronger because of attacks. It became stronger because civilizations gave it exactly what it wanted. Conflict, fear, destruction. The void was not just an enemy. It was a reflection of everything civilizations became when they lost control. Ethan looked at the Guardian symbol. Now, he understood why the archive was different. It was not searching for the strongest warrior. It was searching for someone who could break the cycle. Suddenly, the archive began shaking. The massive throne in front of them activated. Energy surrounded Ethan. The same mark that appeared on his hand millions of years ago in the vision started glowing again. Aileron stepped back. The Guardian mark. Ethan looked at his hand. What is happening to me? The origin answered. The archive is not giving you power. It is restoring what was already inside you. The room changed. A hidden chamber opened beneath the throne. Inside was something impossible. A weapon, but not a weapon designed for destruction. a weapon designed to stop destruction. It was ancient, older than the architects, older than the Sentinels, older than the Dragon Empire. The Origin looked at it. The first Guardian used this. Ethan slowly approached. Who was the first Guardian? The Origin remained silent. Then the answer appeared on the wall. A name that shocked everyone. Because it was not the name of an alien, not the name of an ancient civilization. It was a human name. The first Guardian was human. The truth hit everyone at once. Humanity was not chosen because it was new. Humanity was chosen because it had already been here before. And the biggest secret of all was finally revealed. The architects did not discover humanity. They learned from humanity. Before anyone could react, another alarm activated. The void signal was getting closer, much closer. A massive shadow appeared near the edge of the galaxy. Something was traveling toward Earth. Something that had destroyed civilizations before. Something that even the dragons feared. The Origin looked toward the approaching darkness. Then he spoke quietly. The trial is over. Everyone looked at him. Ethan asked, then what happens now? The Origin looked at Earth. The real war begins. The real war begins. The words echoed through the archive. For millions of years, civilizations had prepared for this moment without knowing it. The architects, the Sentinels, the Dragon Empire, and now humanity. All of them had been moving toward the same event, the return of the void. Captain Ethan Cole looked through the massive energy window inside the archive. Beyond Earth, something was approaching. It was not a fleet. It was not a single ship. It was something much larger. A darkness moving through space. A force that swallowed the light around it. The stars near it disappeared one by one. Dr. Mitchell watched the readings in disbelief. There is no way something that large can exist. The Origin answered calmly. It does not exist the way you understand existence. Everyone looked at him. The void is not a creature. It is an ancient force. It survives by consuming the energy, knowledge, and conflict of civilizations. Alaron looked at the approaching darkness. Then the stories were true. The Origin turned toward him. The stories were warnings. Outside Earth, the Dragon Empire finally made a decision. Varkin stood on the command platform of his fortress. His entire life was built around conquest. He believed strength was the answer. He believed fear created order. But now he was facing something that even his armies could not defeat. A warrior entered the chamber. Commander, the void will reach Earth soon. Varkin looked at the holographic image. And the humans, the warrior hesitated. They're inside the archive. For a moment, Varkin said nothing. Then he gave an order that surprised everyone. Protect them. The room became silent. A dragon commander protecting humans was something nobody expected. Kaeldar looked at him. You have changed. Varkin looked away. No. He looked toward Earth. I finally understand. The enemy was never humanity. The enemy was a thing coming for all of them. The Sentinel fleets also changed their position. For the first time in history, dragons and Sentinels were preparing for the same battle. Not against each other. Against the same darkness. Inside the archive, Ethan stood before the Guardian weapon. He still could not understand why he was chosen. Why him? Why not someone stronger? Why not someone with more knowledge? The Origin looked at him. You are asking the wrong question. Ethan looked back. What should I ask? The Origin answered. Not why you were chosen, but what you will choose to do. The weapon slowly moved toward Ethan. The moment he touched it, the archive showed him everything. Every war, every fallen civilization. Every mistake, every moment when powerful beings chose control over unity. And then he saw the future. A future where humanity became like the civilizations before them. A future where humans gained unlimited power, but lost their purpose. A future where the Guardian became the very thing it was created to stop. Ethan pulled his hand away. No. Everyone looked at him. He shook his head. I understand now. The archive was not testing if he could defeat the void. It was testing if he could resist becoming something worse. The Origin nodded. Now you are ready. Suddenly, the entire archive activated. A message appeared. Guardian accepted. The mountain above them began opening. A massive energy wave spread across Earth. Every human, every dragon, every sentinel felt it. The Guardian had awakened, but at the same moment, the void arrived. Space above Earth became dark. The stars disappeared. A massive presence appeared beyond the atmosphere. No ship, no army, just a force, a silence, a warning. Every communication system across Earth activated, and a voice appeared. Not loud, not angry, just empty. The cycle continues. The message appeared everywhere. The Guardians always fail. The civilizations always fall. And this world will be no different. Ethan looked at the sky. For the first time, humanity was not fighting an invasion. It was fighting destiny itself. The void moved closer. The final battle had begun. The final battle had begun. The sky above Earth was no longer the same. The stars that once filled the universe had disappeared behind the darkness of a void. Every civilization watching from space understood one thing. This was not just another war. This was the moment that would decide the future of everything that existed. Captain Ethan Cole stood inside the archive, feeling the power of the Guardian awakening within him. But he also felt something else. A responsibility that was heavier than any weapon. The void continued moving closer. It did not attack. It did not send armies. It simply waited. That silence was more terrifying than any battlefield. Because everyone knew the void had destroyed civilizations without firing a single shot. It did not need weapons. It only needed civilizations to destroy themselves. Varkin watched the approaching darkness from his command ship. His entire fleet was ready. Thousands of dragons that once conquered worlds were now preparing for a different purpose. Not domination, not victory, survival. The Dragon Empire had spent thousands of years searching for power, but now they finally understood that power alone could not save them. Kaeldar stood beside Varkin. The void wants us to fight each other, he said quietly. It wants fear. It wants anger. It wants us to become exactly what destroyed the others before us. Varkin looked at him. Then we do not give it what it wants. For the first time in history, the Dragon Empire sent a message to humanity. We fight together. The message reached Earth. Millions of people watched as the same dragons who once attacked them now stood between humanity and extinction. It was impossible. It was unexpected. But it was the only chance they had. Inside the archive, Ethan looked at the Origin. How do we stop something that defeated everyone before us? The Origin remained silent for a moment. Then he answered, You do not defeat the void by becoming stronger than it. Ethan waited. Then how? The Origin looked toward the Guardian symbol. You defeat it by becoming something it cannot understand. The archive began revealing the final secret of the Guardians. They were never warriors. They were not chosen to destroy enemies. They were chosen to protect balance. Every civilization failed because they believed power was the answer. The Guardians were different because they understood the cost of power. Ethan finally understood why humanity was chosen. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the oldest. They did not have the greatest technology. But humanity had something the others lost. The ability to change. The ability to choose a different path. The ability to learn from mistakes. Suddenly, the void sent its first wave. The entire planet shook. Space around Earth twisted. The Dragon fleet fired its weapons. The Sentinel ships activated their defenses. Human forces prepared for the impossible battle. But the void did not attack the ships. It attacked the minds. Every soldier, every warrior, every person across Earth saw the same vision. Their greatest fear, their greatest failure, their darkest moment. The void was trying to break them from the inside. Many soldiers dropped their weapons. Many dragons screamed in confusion. Even some sentinels lost control, because the void was not fighting their bodies. It was fighting their memories. Inside the archive, Ethan fell to his knees. He saw everything. Every mistake humanity ever made. Every war. Every moment where humans chose destruction over understanding. The void whispered inside his mind. You are not different. You will become the same. You will fail like the others. Ethan closed his eyes. For a moment, he believed it. Maybe the void was right. Maybe every civilization eventually fell. Maybe power always corrupted. Then he remembered the faces of the people who followed him, the humans, the Sentinels, the dragons, different species, different histories, but standing together. And he understood the difference was not that they were perfect. The difference was that they had a choice. Ethan stood again, the guardian weapon activated in his hand. Not with destruction, with light. The archive responded. A message appeared across the galaxy. The guardian is chosen. The void stopped. For the first time, it reacted with something close to fear. Because the void had faced armies before. It had faced powerful civilizations. But it had never faced a civilization that refused to repeat the same mistake. Ethan looked toward the darkness outside. This ends here. The battle between the past and the future had begun. The battle between the past and the future had begun. Across the galaxy, every civilization watched as Earth became the center of the greatest conflict in history. The void had destroyed worlds before. It had erased civilizations that were millions of years ahead of humanity. But this time something was different. For the first time, the enemy was not facing a single civilization. It was facing a united force. Captain Ethan Cole stepped forward inside the archive. The guardian weapon in his hand was not creating destruction. It was creating a connection between every mind, every species, and every world that still had hope. The archive was not giving humanity a weapon to win a war. It was giving them a chance to change the way wars were fought forever. The void reacted immediately. The darkness surrounding Earth became stronger. The voice returned across every communication system. You believe unity will save you? The voice was calm, almost certain. Every civilization believed the same thing before they fell. Ethan looked at the darkness. Maybe they did. He paused. But they are not here anymore. We are. For the first time, the void became silent because it understood something. This was not the same situation. The civilizations before them fought for survival alone. They fought with fear. They fought with anger. They fought because they want to control the future. But humanity, the Sentinels, and the dragons were fighting for something else. A future where they did not have to repeat the past. Outside Earth, the dragon fleet moved forward. Varkin gave the order. All forces, protect the archive. Thousands of dragons entered the battlefield. The same creatures that once terrified humanity were now defending it. The Sentinel ships moved beside them. Their technology, combined with dragon power, created something the galaxy had never seen before. An alliance, not created by peace, created by necessity. Inside the archive, the Origin watched everything. Dr. Mitchell looked at him. You knew this would happen. The Origin answered, no. Everyone looked surprised. Then why did the archive choose humanity? The Origin looked toward Ethan. Because even we did not know what humanity would choose. That answer shocked everyone. Even the Origin did not know the outcome. The archive was never predicting the future. It was searching for a possibility that someone would finally break the cycle. Suddenly, the void launched its attack. A wave of darkness moved toward Earth. The dragon ships fired. The Sentinel defenses activated. But the wave passed through everything. Weapons failed. Shields collapsed. Nothing could stop it, because the void was not attacking the planet. It was attacking the archive itself. The ancient structure began losing power. The lights started disappearing. The guardian symbol began fading. Alaron looked worried. If the archive falls, everything ends. Ethan looked at the dying energy around him. Then we do not let it fall. He placed the guardian weapon into the center of the archive. The entire mountain shook. The archive began connecting with Earth, with humanity, with every living being connected. The battle, the void suddenly stopped, because it felt something it had not felt in millions of years. Resistance, not physical resistance. Something deeper, a choice. The voice of the void became louder. You cannot change what you are. Ethan looked toward the darkness. No, he answered. We decide what we become. The archive released a massive wave of energy, not an attack. A message sent across the universe. Every world, every civilization, every being that still existed saw the same vision. Humans, dragons, Sentinels, standing together, not as conquerors, not as rulers, as protectors. And for the first time, the void began to weaken because it was created from the same thing that destroyed civilizations: division, fear, conflict. But now it was facing the opposite: unity. The darkness surrounding Earth started breaking apart. The stars slowly returned. The galaxies could see light again. But then something happened, something nobody expected. The void was not destroyed. It was changing. The Origin looked toward the sky. His expression changed. No. Ethan noticed. What is it? The Origin looked at the fading darkness. The void was never the final enemy. Everyone froze. The Origin continued. It was a warning. The archive suddenly revealed a new message, a message older than everything they had discovered. The true creator has awakened. The universe went silent, because if the void was only a warning, then something much greater was coming. The true creator has awakened. The message appeared across the archive. For a moment, everything stopped. The void, the dragons, the Sentinels, humanity. Everyone looked toward the same direction, deep space, because something was coming, something that even the void feared. Captain Ethan Cole looked at the Origin. If the void was only a warning, then what is the real threat? The Origin looked toward the darkness beyond Earth. The beginning. Nobody understood. The Origin continued. The void was created when the first civilizations tried to control creation itself. Their actions created imbalance. Their fear created destruction. But before the void, there was a creator. The name alone changed the atmosphere. The archive had revealed countless secrets. But this was different. This was something even the architects never fully understood. Dr. Mitchell looked at the ancient symbols appearing around them. Are you saying the creator made everything? The Origin answered, no. The room became silent. The creator did not create life. The creator created the possibility of life. The difference was impossible to understand. The universe was not designed. It was allowed to evolve. Every civilization, every species, every choice, everything was part of a larger balance. But then civilization started trying to control that balance. And that was when everything changed. Suddenly, the void signal weakened. Not because it was defeated, because it was afraid. The darkness around Earth started moving away. Everyone watching thought the battle was ending. But Ethan realized something. The void was not retreating. It was escaping. It was escaping from something approaching. Then space opened. Not like a portal. Not like technology. Like reality itself was changing. A massive presence appeared beyond the galaxy. No ship. No army. No weapon. Only a presence. Every living being felt it. The dragons lowered their heads. The Sentinels stopped all movement. Even the Origin became silent, because they knew the creator had arrived. Inside the archive, the final chamber opened. A new message appeared. The Guardian has reached the final choice. Ethan looked confused. Final choice? The archive answered. To protect creation. Or to control it. Everyone understood. This was a final test. Not a battle. Not a war, a decision. The creator did not come to save them. The creator came to see what they would become. Ethan looked at the power surrounding him. With the Guardian ability, he could control the archive. He could control technology beyond imagination. He could control civilizations. He could become the most powerful being in existence. But then he remembered everything. The fallen civilizations, the destroyed worlds, the mistakes of the past. Power was never the answer. Control was never the answer. Ethan stepped away from the Guardian weapon. I choose neither. The archive reacted. Everyone looked shocked. The Origin watched silently. Ethan continued. I do not want to control creation. I want to protect it. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then the entire universe changed. The Guardian symbol transformed. The void stopped moving. The creator finally responded. A voice appeared, not powerful, not threatening. Calm, you have understood. The message spread across the galaxy. The first Guardians protected balance. The last Guardian restored it. The darkness disappeared. The stars returned. The void began fading, not destroyed, not erased, restored, because the cycle was finally broken. Outside Earth, dragons and sentinels watched in silence. The war that lasted thousands of years had ended without a final destruction. It ended with a choice. Varkin looked toward Earth. For the first time, the Dragon Empire was not thinking about conquest. It was thinking about rebuilding. Alaron looked at Ethan. You changed everything. Ethan looked at the Earth below. No. He smiled slightly. We all did. The archive slowly closed. But before it disappeared, one final message appeared. The story of one world has ended. The story of the galaxy begins. Millions of years later, civilizations would tell the story of the moment humanity stood between darkness and creation. The moment humans, dragons, and sentinels chose unity over power. The moment the universe discovered that the smallest civilization could create the biggest change. And somewhere deep in space, a new signal appeared. A signal from an unknown world. A signal that carried one message. We have found them.